So where I can use a address class only inside which class? Person class. So what address is having here? Okay. Address is having, okay, address is having what here? Street. Address is having street. And what address is having here? City, right? So I try to create how many attributes here? Two. Okay, one attribute is a street and one more is what here? City, right? So there is a method. What is the name of this method? Read address. Now this will read what here? Street of a person. So what you're trying to do, you're trying to enter street. Okay, self dot city equal to input. What you're trying to input here? City, right? So there is one more method called print address. So what this will print here? Okay. So it will print the street again. Okay, self dot. What is the value here? Street. And you are trying to print what here? City, right? So self dot. What you are trying to print here? City. So what is the name of the class here? Address. And a person is having what here? Address, right? Okay, but where is the address class? Address class is there inside person class, right? And means where I can create object of this address class only in which class here? Person class. Okay. So what I can do is now this is a constructor here. So where in this I'm creating object of which class? Address class. What person is having name? Person is having name and person is having address. So here I'm creating object of which class? Address class. So where I can now, where is address class is in person class? Because address is which member? Class member. Okay, address is which member? Class member, and class member is accessed with what name? Class name. Okay, class member is accessed with what name here? Class name. So name of the, okay, now this is a outer class name and this is what here? Inner class name. So this is outer class and this is a inner class, right? So there is a method called read person is there. So this will read the name of the person where I'm saying input what is that? Enter what? Name. Enter name and self dot address dot. So what should I read here? Address. In the same way, print person is there and this will print what it print here? Name of the person. What it print here? Name of the person self dot name. So this you can call it as a name of the person. Okay, this is the name of the person. And at the same time, I'm saying self dot address dot print address. See, I can use this address to represent not only one address. Okay, I can use this address. See, I can use this address not only to represent one address. I can use this address to represent more than one address, right? Okay, so how many objects of this address I can create? More than one object. So within this, for example, if this is address one, assume that this is address one. So I can create one more object that is address two equal to person dot. What is this here? Address. So how many objects I created here? Two objects. One is address one. One more is what here? Address two. So created two objects, right? One is address one and one more is a address two, right? So yeah, so using that class, you can create either one object or more than one object, right? Yes. Sir. So there is a function here main, right? So what you are doing, you are creating object of a person and person one dot read person and person one dot person one dot read person and person one dot print person. So person one dot read person and person one dot print person, right? So you are trying to read the details of a person and you are trying to print the details of a person. So once you run this, now you can see person one dot. So this is address, right? So once you run this, now this is the name of the person. Now this you can call it as a street and this is called as a city. So what is the name of the person here, narration? This is now this is a name and this is a street and this is what here? City. But where I use a class address here, I use a class address within what person? I use a class address within person. So create object of address class within the person class. So this is how it is done. Okay, this is how it is done, right? Okay, yes. So this is called as a member class. So here inner class can be what here? Member class. So member means like it is declared as a class member. You are declaring a class as a class member, right? You are declaring a class as a class member. You are declaring a class as a class member. So address is one class and person is what here? Another class. So you are declaring it as a class member. Okay. So that is done by using this approach here. Okay. Next is, okay, next is, right. So there is one more type of inner class. And what is that another type of inner class is? Local class is there. So there is one more type of inner class called a local class. What is a local class is? A class defined inside what here method. A class defined inside method or block is called which class here? Local class. Okay, class defined inside method or block. If you are writing a class inside a method, if you are writing a class inside a method or inside block, so that you can call it as which one? Local class. Local class is there, right? So where you can write a class, this you can write inside a method or inside which one? Block, right? So local class is used where? Only within the declared block. You cannot use this local class. You cannot use this local class where? Outside. Local class you write only inside one block. You cannot write this local class where? Outside. Outside you cannot write it. Okay, it means outside you cannot access it. What is the meaning of this is? For example, I'm writing like this. So there is a class. Okay, now this is called as which class? Outer class. This is called as an outer class, right? And inside this, now I write a method. Any method that can be either, so it can be instance method or class level method or any method. But inside that method or inside that block, if you are writing a class, inside that method or inside that, yes, if you are writing a class, so that you can call it as which one? local class. So you have to write what name here, local class name. Okay. So this is called as a local class name, right? Okay. And inside this, you can write some variables. You can write some methods here. Inside that class, you write some variables and methods. So an object of local class, an object of local class is created. So where the object of local class is created within within declared block. So where object of local class is created within declared block. You cannot create object of a local class outside the declared block. You can create object of local class where we can create inside the declared block. You can create this local class object within declared block, but you cannot access this local block where local class where outside the declared block. You cannot access it. Only within that block you can access it, but not outside the block, right? So that is how you are writing. An object of a local class is created. An object of local class is created within declared block, right? So just to see it. So you want to write one class and you don't want that class to be accessed by any other class, any other method. For example, if I'm writing a class, suppose if I'm writing a class inside a class, so this class can access by any member of that class A. Means I can access class B inside what M1 method. I can access this class B inside M1 method. I can access this class B inside what here M2 method. I can access this class B inside what M3 method. Okay, I can access this class B inside M1 method. I can access this class B inside M2 method. I can access this class B inside what M3 method. But I want class B should not access by any method. I want class B should access by only which one? M1 method. I don't want the class B should access by M2 method. I don't want the class B should access by which one? M3 method. But I want the class B should access by only which method? M1 method. Then where you write the class B in M1 method? If you write class B in M1 method, so where I can access this class B only inside which method? M1 method. So I cannot access this class B outside which method? M1 method. No. So this class is called as which class here? Local class. This class is called as a local class. And instead this, I'm writing one method here, M3, some method. Okay, now there is one more method is there inside this class, M2 method. And here I'm saying M2 of, M2 of which class here? Local class. So this is M2 of which class here? Local class, right? So, but where I can create object of this class B? So I can create object of this class B. I can create object of this class B. Where I can create object of class B? Inside which method? M1 method. Okay. I can create object of class B. Obj B equal to B. Because it is a local, right? Okay. So then I'll say obj B dot, which method I called M2 method. And this is M1 method of which class here? A class. This is M1 method of which class? A class, right? So within M1 method, I write one class. And what is the name of this class here? Class B here, right? So there is a function what here in. So I just create object of A class. So this might be useful in application development. Means Python allows you to write class anywhere. Python allows you to write class anywhere, not in one place, anywhere within the class you can write the class. But accessibility matters here. If it is a local class, I can use only inside what declared block. So where I write here class B, I write a class B inside which method? M1 method. So where I can use this class B only inside which method? M1 method. But in the previous example, where I write the address class inside the person class as a member class. This is as which class here? Member class. So where I can use this address class? I can use this address class anywhere, right? I can use inside init method. I can use inside read person. I can use inside which one? Print person. Anywhere I can use this address class. Anywhere I can use which class? Address class, right? I can create object of address class in init method. I can create object of address class in read person. I can create object of address class in which one? Print person. Anywhere I can create object of which class? Address class, right? Okay. So this is how you are trying to do it. So these are two types of inner classes. One is a member class and one more is which one? Local class. Now this is a message here, M2 of local class and M1 method of outer class. Okay. So A is the outer class. Yes. Now these are different types of, okay. These are different types of which one? Inner classes. Okay. These are different types of inner classes. Okay. Yeah, just try to understand this. Okay. So you can also write a class inside a class and that you can call it as which class? Inner class. So let us move into another concept here. That is so let us move into another concept here and that is you can call it as what is this called as here? Exception handling, right? Exception handling or error handling. So exception handling or error handling. So without handling the errors, your project is not completed. Okay, without handling the errors, your project is not completed. You have to handle the errors, whatever errors are there in your program. So that errors has to be handled. If you don't handle the errors, okay, what will happen is, okay, when that project is used by end user, then he come across a lot of errors. To avoid that, whatever mistakes done by the end user, that mistakes has to be handled by what? Program. Whatever mistakes done by the end user, that mistakes has to be handled by what? Program. Whatever mistakes done by the end user, that mistakes has to be handled by program. For example, when you go to ATM, you insert the card. It will ask you to enter what? PIN. What will happen if you enter wrong PIN? You get error or not? Yes. Who gives that error? ATM program. It means the mistake done by whom? Programmer. Sorry, the mistake done by the end user or customer. And that mistake is handled by whom? ATM program. Getting or not? Okay. So in application development, you come across different types of errors. In application development, you come across different types of errors, right? You come across different types of errors. When error is nothing but a flaw, it means a mistake. Okay. So what are the types of errors you have? Now types of, if you talk about types of errors, you come across different types of errors here. Okay. you come across different types of errors. You have a different types of what here errors. One is okay. One is called as which error? Syntax error. You come across which errors? Syntax errors, right? Second one is a logical errors, and third one is a so runtime errors. So you come across how many types of errors here? Three types. Okay, now the first one is called as a syntax error, and second one is called as a logical error, and third one is called as which one? Runtime errors. Okay, syntax errors, logical errors, and one more is a runtime errors. So what is exactly the meaning of this, right? Syntax error, logical error, and runtime error. Syntax error. So what is the meaning of syntax error here? Okay, what is a syntax error? So it's nothing but the error. Okay, so every language define some set of rules and regulations, right? Writing statements. Every statement in the language should write by following some rules and regulations. If you don't follow that rules, who gives that error? Compiler. Getting on. So what is the syntax error? The errors which occur during the compilation of the program. So the errors what you get during the compilation of the program is called which error? Syntax error, right? So the error which occurs during during execution of during compilation of or compiling a program is called which error here? Syntax error. The error which occurs during compiling a program is called syntax error. So what will happen when there is a syntax error? If there is a syntax error, within program, what will happen? Is it program is executed or not executed? Not executed. Okay. Program is not executed. If there is a syntax error, program is not executed or it not generate which code? Bytecode. For example, indentation, you get one error, right? Which are indentation. So unnecessarily if I give a space, and if I write a statement, what will happen? Will I get an error or not? Yes, I'll get the error, right? Okay, unnecessarily if you write this, okay, you'll get the error. So for example, if I write like this, okay, if I run this, now there is an error. What is this error? Syntax error. What is the error here? Unexpected indent. So this is called as which error? Indentation error. Suppose if there is an error, but is it your program is a now? If I write next any statement, if I write any statement after this, is it this statement is executed? No. So before this, if I write any statement, if I write any statement like this, is it this statement is executed? No. If I run this, now you can see there is error called which one? Syntax error. If there is a syntax error, your program is not executed. So who will rectify these errors? Who will rectify the syntax errors? Programmer. So programmer has to rectify the syntax errors in order to execute what? Program. Programmer has to rectify. Who will rectify the syntax errors? Programmer has to rectify the syntax errors, right? So programmer has to rectify the syntax errors in order to execute the program, right? So programmer must rectify syntax errors, okay, in order to execute. Programmer must rectify syntax errors in order to execute what? Program. Programmer must rectify syntax errors in order to execute the program. Until you don't rectify it, is it your program is executed or not executed? Not executed. Getting on. So this is one type of error, and that is called as which one here? Syntax error. So there is one more type of error called which one? Logical error is it. So second type of error which is called as which one? Logical error. So what is a logical error here? Suppose in order to solve any problem, you write some logics, right? In order to solve any problem, okay. See compilation and then interpretation here. First it will do compilation and then it will do what? Interpretation. First compilation and then what? Interpretation. You have to understand this. First compilation will be there and second what you'll have? Interpretation will be there. Okay. See in the beginning here, compilation and interpretation. Okay. Right. Then next is, now you come across one more type of error, and what is that error is? Logical error you'll get it. You come across one more type of error, and what is that error is? Logical error. So what is a logical error here? So the error which occur, see you write some logics within the program. You write some logics within the program. Suppose I want to write a program for adding two numbers. Okay. What I'm doing first, I'm trying to input first number, like enter first number. Okay, now n2 equal to integer of, I just write enter. Enter what is that? Second number. I enter the first number and enter what? Second number. Then I'm saying n3 equal to n1. Actually, for adding two numbers, I should use which operator? Plus. But by mistakenly, I've used what? Minus. So by mistakenly, I use what here? Minus. It means, so there is a, will you get wrong result or not? Yes. For example, if I enter 10, 20, I should get the result as 30, right? But I'm getting the result as what? Minus 10. It means there is some mistake in what? Logic. That is what. So sometimes what will happen is when you get the wrong result, you'll say there is a mistake in what? Logic. Getting on. So, for example, sorting logic. You write a logic for sorting elements of which one? Array or list. You write a logic for sorting the elements of list or what is that something. Okay, if the elements of the, now when you're sorting it, some mistake is there in writing which one? Logic. Then what will happen? Is it elements will be sorted or not sorted? Not sorted. Your program executed fine. There's no syntax errors. Your program is executed, but you are getting what? Wrong result. Your program is executed, but you are getting what? Wrong result. Okay. So why you get that wrong result? Because is which mistake here? Logical mistake, right? So there is a syntax error will be there and there is a logical error. So what is a logical error here? If program is written, okay, a program is written with a wrong logic or wrong which one? Algorithm. Okay, wrong logic or wrong algorithm. Okay, then it leads to which one? Wrong which one? Results. Okay, now this logical errors, okay, these logical errors must be rectified. This logical errors must be rectified by who's this? Programmer only, to avoid To avoid which result? Wrong results. To avoid which one? To avoid this logical errors. Okay. Now programmer has to rectify this logics. Or programmer must rectify this algorithms. Right? You follow some algorithm to solve a given problem. Okay. If that algorithm is a wrong, if that logic is a wrong, then you'll get the wrong result. If that logic is a wrong, then you'll get the wrong result. So that can be avoided. So that can be avoided by using this, right? This is one example for that. Now this is which mistake? Logical error, because my program is adding or subtracting, program to add two numbers. But by mistakenly I have given which one? Minus operator. So because of that, it is leads to some errors here. So there is one more type of error. And what is that error here? Runtime error is there. So there is one more type of error called a runtime error. See here. This is a syntax error and this is a logical error. And there's one more error called which one? Runtime error. So an error which occurs during, an error which occurs during, an error which occurs during, what is that? Execution of which one? Program. An error which occur during execution of program is called which error here? Runtime error. So whatever error you get during the execution of program, okay, that error is called which error here? Runtime error. So why this runtime error occurs? So runtime error occurs. Runtime error occurs because of, okay, runtime error occurs because of wrong input. Okay, because of wrong input given by whom? End user. See, runtime error occurs because of wrong input given by end user. Okay, runtime error occurs because of wrong input given by end user. So an error which occurs during execution of program is called a runtime error, and runtime error occurs because of wrong input given by whom? End user, right? What is the meaning of this? For example, wrong input given to the program. For example, I want to write a program to divide. I want to write a program to divide two numbers. I want to write a program to divide two numbers, right? I want to divide two numbers here. I want to write a program to divide two numbers here, right? So how can I divide two numbers here? Okay. So first, what I'm doing, I'm trying to input the first number. So enter which one? First number. Enter first number. N2 equal to integer of input enter. So enter which one? Second number. So I try to input how many numbers here? Two numbers. So the first one is N1 and second one is what here? N. So input how many numbers here? Two numbers, right? So after giving two numbers, I want to perform an operation called division. N1 divided by N2. So here you are doing which operation? Division operation. Then after that you are trying to print the value of N1, N2 and one more value is what? N3. Okay, so you are trying to get the value of n1, you are trying to get the value of n2, you are trying to get the value of n3, right? So what will happen if you run this? Now enter first number. So what is the first number here? 5. And what is the second number here? 2. Okay. So 5. Input will read the value as which type? String. And this string is converted to which type here? Integer type. And input will read the value of which type here? String. And you are converting the string to what again? Integer. And assign to a variable n1 as well as what? N2. So after that, you are doing an operation called what? Division. And then you are printing the value of n1 and n2 and one more value is what? N3, right? So what is the value of n1? 5. What is the value of n2? 2. What is the value of n3? 2.5. Fine. Is it execution is correct or not? Yes. I'll try to input again the first number. And what is the first number here? 4. What is the first number here? 4 is the first number. Then enter second number. What is the second number I've given? 0. So first number is 4 and second number is what? 0. So here this input value is converted into what? Integer. And this input value is also converted into what? Integer. And 4 divided by what? 0. So what will happen in this case? Immediately it is given what? Error. Saying that which error it is? 0 division error. So why this error is occurred? Because of a wrong input given by end user. Because of wrong input given by what? End user. Ring on it. Because there is some condition for division or not? Yes. There is some condition for division. That is Python before dividing a number, it will try to verify is it denominator equal to 0 or not. It will try to verify is it denominator. Is it denominator is equal to 0 or not. It will verify is it denominator is equal to 0 or not. If denominator is equal to 0, okay, so input number that is 4, okay, and if I enter 0, so immediately it is given 0 division error and saying that division by what here? 0. Getting or not? So it is trying to verify if the denominator is equal to 0, then immediately your Python is raising what? Error. In the same way, for example, I try to input first number called 4, but second number, in the place of number I've given ABC. In the place of number, what I've given? ABC. Is it possible to convert this ABC to the integer? No. Then immediately integer function rises what here? Error. Saying that which error it is? Value error. See why you are getting all these errors? Because of wrong input given by end user. So input function required some, see, integer function required some input. And division function also required some input. But the input given to the division, the input given to the integer, is it correct or wrong? Wrong. Then immediately it is raised what here? Error. To avoid this error, okay, what will happen if this error is occurred? Your program execution is terminated or not? Yes. What will happen if this error is occurred? Your program execution is what? Terminated. Okay, to avoid this abnormal termination, you have to handle what? Errors. To avoid this abnormal termination, you have to handle this errors, right? You have to handle this errors to avoid abnormal termination of this program. You have to handle, right? So an error which occurred during the execution of program is called a runtime errors, and runtime error occurs because of wrong input given by what? end user. Okay. So when there is a runtime error, when there is a runtime error within, so within program, there is a when there is a runtime error within program, what will happen? Program execution is what? Terminated. When there is a runtime error within program execution is terminated. What will happen? For example, if you see Notepad is one application or not? Yes. Okay, what will happen if I give, I'll say file open, and what will happen if I give wrong file name? What will happen if I give wrong file name? The file name which is not there. Is it Notepad get closed? No. Notepad is not get closed, but rather than Notepad is handling that error or not? Yes. If I say open, immediately I'll get the message saying that this file is not found. Why this message is given? Because of wrong file name. So wrong input is given or not? Yes. But when I give a wrong input, is it Notepad is closed or Notepad is handle this error? Notepad is handle this error. But how this runtime errors are handled? By using exception handling mechanism. How this runtime errors are handled? By using exception handling mechanism. Okay, right? Okay, right? Yes. So what is the exception here is? So what is exception here is? What is exception here is? 1 minute. So what is a runtime error is? What is runtime? What is exception is? So what is exception here? Now the question comes here is what is exception? So exception is nothing but, see here in this case, exception is an error. Exception is an error which occur, okay, during execution of what here? Program. Exception is an error which occur during execution of what? Program. What is exception? Exception is an error, right? What is exception? Exception is an error which occur during execution of what? Program. During execution of program, exception is an error which occur during the execution of program. Okay. So when there is an exception, or you can say exception is a runtime, or you can say exception is a runtime error. Okay, you can say exception is what here? Runtime error. Exception is a runtime error, right? So when there is an exception within the program, your program execution is what? Terminated. Exception is an error which occurs during execution of program, or exception is a runtime error. If there is an exception, if there is an exception within program, if there is an exception within program execution is within program execution is what? Terminated. If there is an exception within program execution is what here? Terminate. Program execution is what here? Terminated, right? If there is an exception within the program execution is what here? Terminate. So to avoid abnormal termination, to avoid abnormal termination of program, to avoid abnormal termination of program, We required, okay, we required which one? Exception. Exception what? Handlers. Exception handlers. Exception handlers are the same thing. You call it as which one? Error handlers. I think you understood. Why you get a runtime error? Because of wrong input. For example, if you take a list is there. Okay, assume that there is a list which contain values like this 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. If I'm writing list 1 of 0, I'll get the value at 0. And what is the value at 0 here? 10. If I'm saying list 1 of 1, I'll get the value at 1. What is the value at 1? 20. Getting on. So if I'm saying list 1 of, if I give some 6, is it index 6 is valid or invalid? Invalid, right? So list 1 of 6, 6 is not valid, right? 6 is what here? Invalid index. Then immediately it rises what? Error. So why this error is? Why this index error is? Because of wrong input. Getting on it? Because of wrong input. Suppose if you take dictionary or if you take conversion like integer of within double quotes, I write 65. Now is it this string can be converted to integer or not? Yes. If I'm writing b equal to integer of within double quotes a b c, is it this conversion is done or not done? Not done. Then immediately it is raised which error? Value error. Immediately it is raised one error. Which error it is raised? Value error. Getting or not? Okay. So you need to understand this, how this error handling is done, right? So what is exception is? An exception is an error which occur during execution of program, or exception is what here? Runtime error. If there is an exception within program, program execution is terminated. To avoid abnormal termination of program, we required exception handlers or what? Error handlers. We required exception handlers or error handlers here. Reading or not, we required exception handlers or error handlers. But how this is done? Okay. So every exception, you can say every exception is one. Every exception is one type. One type means I can say every exception is one data type. And every data type in Python is what? Class. Okay, every exception is one data type or class. Okay. For example, here you are getting which error? Value error. Here you are getting which error? Index error. Okay. So what is this value error is one type. What is value error? It is one type. What is index error is one type, and every type is one class. So every exception or error is one data type or one class, and creating object of error class, creating object of error class or exception class, creating object of error class or exception class is called generating error or rising error, or what is that? Exception. Okay, see here, what is the meaning of generating exception? So generating exception is nothing but creating object of which class? Error class. Creating object of which class here? Error class or exception class is called as generating error or rising what? Error. Creating object of error class or exception class is called generating error or rising error. Generating error or rising the error. Okay. But who will generate the error? Who will generate the error? Functions. For example, integer function rise which error? Value error. Okay. Integer function generate which error? Value error. List is generated which error? Index error. So who will generate the errors? Function will generate the error. So generating error is nothing but creating what? Object. Creating object of which class? Error class or exception class is called generating error or rising error. So this error is raised by, this error is generated by which one? Function. Because you are giving some input to the function, right? You are giving some input to the function, and if that function receive the wrong input, then what will happen? It generate one error. So who will generate the error? The errors are generated by whom? Function. So whatever errors generated by function, you have to handle that. So what is the advantage? So what is the advantage? What is the advantage of? What is the advantage of error handling? What is the advantage of error handling or exception handling? What is the advantage of error handling or exception handling? So the advantage of error handling is, the first one is, okay, avoiding. First one is avoid abnormal termination of, which one? Program. And second one is separating, okay, separating what do you call it as business logic, separating business logic from, or separating business logic and what is that? Error logic. So there is a clear separation of business logic and what? Error logic. For example, if we give the wrong input to the integer function, is it integer function is handling the error or generating error? Generating error. Then who will handle? Caller. Who will handle that error? Caller. And each caller is having his own way of handling what? Error. So that might be various from one caller to what? Another. It means inside integer function there is no logic. Inside integer function there is no logic. Inside integer function there is no logic for handling which one? Error. There's no logic because it is having, integer function is having only logic of conversion, but it is not having a logic of which one? Handling it. No. Yes. So what is the advantage of error handling is avoid abnormal termination of the program. And second one is separating the business logic from which logic here? Error logic. So even that can be done by using which one? Error handling. But to handle the errors, now error handling is done okay, using okay, following keywords. So these are the keywords provided by Python here. So what are the keywords provided by Python for handling this errors here? The first one is, you are trying to use which one? Try. Try is it. What is the first one? Try. And second one is accept. So try is one keyword, accept is one keyword, and finally is one keyword, and rise is what? Another keyword. So how many keywords are used for handling the errors? 4 keywords are there. First one is try, and second one is accept, third one is finally, and fourth one is what? Rise. Okay. Yes. But every error is one type, and all these types are inherited from one base class. And what is a base class or super class for all exceptions is exception. What is a super class for all exceptions? Exceptions. Okay. Now these exceptions or errors are two types. Okay, one is a predefined errors types. Error types or exception types are, okay, error types or exception types are two. One is predefined error types, and second one is user defined error types. So how many error types are there here? Two are there. One is a predefined error types, and second one is a user defined error types. So how many types of errors are there? Two types. One is predefined error types, and one more is what? User defined error types. So what is the difference here? Okay, now this is the exception is which one? Superclass. Exception is a superclass for all exceptions. So there is a predefined exception types out there. So predefined exception types are used by whom? Predefined. Predefined exception types are used by predefined functions. Okay, predefined functions. See, there are some library functions are there in Python or not? Yes, all those library functions uses which exceptions? Predefined exceptions. All those library functions uses which one? Predefined exceptions, right? What are those predefined exceptions you have? So there is a so there is one error. What is it here? Just now we have seen which error? Value error. What is that error? Index error. What is that error? Key error. Okay. And what is that error here? Just now we have seen zero division error. So there is a file. Okay. File not found. File not found. Which one? Error. Okay. So there is a name error. There's a name error like this. All these are different types of error types or not? Yes. But all these are which type of errors? Predefined types of errors, right? And these are used by Python. All these error types are used by Python. Like suppose you have a type error. There is an error. What is the name of this error here? Type error. So value error, index error, key error, zero division error, file not found error, name error, and one more is what? Type error. All these are different types of errors or not? Yes. All these are different types of errors here, right? Apart from this, now, can you say these are predefined or not? Yes. So these are predefined exceptions, predefined errors. These are predefined error types. Okay. Apart from this, can you build your own error types? Yes. Can you build your own error types? Yes. You can also build your own error types. And that errors, you call it as which one? Customized errors or user defined errors. So that errors, you call it as customized errors or you call it as user defined errors, right? So what is that error is? You can say, so there is one error which is called as, okay, suppose assume that I'll try to create, what is that error? Insufficient balance error. So is it these are application specific errors or not? Yes, you build your own errors by inheriting which class? Exception class. You build your own error. What is that error? Login error. You build your own error. What is that error? PIN error. You build your own error. What is that? OTP error. Now these are which type of errors? User defined. Now you build your own errors and you try to use while developing which one? Applications. And this you can call it as which type of errors? User defined errors or customized errors. Okay, now these are called user defined errors. The same thing, you can call it as customized errors here, right? Yeah, just try to understand. Now this is called as, but any error in Python is inherited from, okay, any error in Python is inherited from which class? Exception class. Exception is a base class for all error types. Exception is a base class. So exception is a base class or parent class for all classes, for all exception classes. All exception classes or types in Python. So that can be either predefined or that can be either what? User defined. That can be either predefined or that can be either user defined, right? Yes. Now first we'll try to see how to handle these errors. First we'll talk about which one? Try block, right? So first one is a try block is so there is a try block here. So what is this here? Try block is there. So there is one block. And what is this block here? Try block is there. So what you write inside the try block is a block of statements. Now what you write here is a block of statements which has to be a block of statements, a block of statements which generate errors, a block of statements which generates errors during runtime are included inside which block here? Try block. A block of statements which generates errors during runtime are included inside try block. Means inside try block, which statements you include? The statements which generate the error. Okay. So it means the statements which has to be monitored for, you can say sometimes the statements which has to be monitored for, the statements which has to be monitored for, which has to be monitored for which handling? Exception handling or error handling are included inside which block? Try block. Okay, the statements which has to be monitored for, okay, which has to be monitored for exception handling or error handling are included inside which block? Try block. So you don't include all the statements inside which block? Try block. Which statements you include inside the try block? The statements which generates what here? Error. Okay, which statements you include inside the try block? The statements which generates the error. Okay, and what is the syntax of writing a try block? But how you know which statement generate error? How you know which statement generate error and which statement doesn't generate error? That you come across when you start testing your application. Okay, when you read the documentation, or if you when you use one function, before using function, you should know the documentation. Like integer function is there. You read the documentation of integer where you can find if you give the wrong input, what will happen to the integer function. Okay, now so that is the syntax, right? Now, what is the syntax of writing this is integer? You are writing like this. Try block. Now, try is a keyword, right? And it is followed by a colon. Okay, try is a keyword and it followed by which one? Colon. And inside this block, you are trying to include some statements, right? So there is a statement 1 and statement 2. Okay. Now you include not all the statements you include inside the try block, but which statements you include in the try block? Only the statements which generates what? Errors. Only the statements which generate the errors, right? So that is statements you include inside which block? Try block. So if there is an error inside a try block, because try block is not exception handler, right? Try block is not exception handler block. If there is an error inside try block, then who will handle that error? Okay, if there is an error in try block, who will handle that error? That error is handled by another block. And what is that another block? Except block. Okay, so there is one more block is there. And what is the name of this block here? Except block. So what is except block is having? So except is an error handling block. Except block is error handling block. This is error handling block. Except block is error handling block. Okay. If there is an error, if there is an error inside, if there is an error inside which block? Try block. If there is an error inside try block, so that error is handled by which block? Except block. If there is an error inside a try block, that error is handled by which block? Except block. So that is a try, and one more is which one? Except. Except block is an error handling block. If there is an error inside a try block, that error is handled by which block here? Except block. Okay. So it means try block followed by at least one except block should be there, right? So what is the syntax here? The syntax is like this. Okay. You are writing try block. So what you are doing, you are writing a try block, and inside the try block, you are including some statements. Okay, you are including some statements. Okay. So there is a statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, and then followed by which block? Except block. And except it followed by which type? Error type. Which type of error this except block should handle? Which type of error this except block should handle? So that you are writing inside which block? Except block. Okay, now there is a statement 4, and there is a statement for like this. But one try block may have multiple except block. So if try block raises multiple types of errors, you handle that multiple types of errors by writing multiple except blocks. You handle that multiple types of errors by using multiple except blocks, right? So this is a try, and this is what here? Except. Okay, so what do you write inside the try block? You don't write all the statements in try block. Which statements you write inside the try block? The statements which generate error. The statements which generate error, that statements you are writing in which block? Try block. If there is an error inside the try block, that error is handled by which block? Except block. So it means in try block you write the statements which has to be monitored for exception handling, right? Yes. Let us see the example like how to handle the error, right? So first we'll be working on some predefined. Okay, then we'll be working on user defined, right? Now if you see this example, write a program to divide two numbers, right? So which statement generate the error here? Division statement. Okay, which statement generate the error here? Division statement. Then which statement is included inside the try block? Division statement is included inside what? Try block. So which statement is included within try block? Division statement. Okay. So because this is a statement which generate the error. So the division statement generate which error? Zero division. Zero division what? Error. Zero division error. What is the name of that? Zero divide error. Now see here. What is the name of the error? Zero division error, right? Zero. What is the name of the data type or exception type? Zero division error. It means this except block handle whenever there is which error in try block? Zero division error. Okay. Whenever there is a zero division error, that error is handled by this. Okay. After handling this, I can display one user defined. See here, this is again one more advantage of exception handling is converting predefined error messages. Converting predefined error messages into what? User defined error messages. Okay, now end user cannot understand what is the meaning of all this. What is this line number? What is this test? What is this function? No, he cannot understand all this. Then what you are doing, you are converting this predefined error message. You are converting this predefined error message into what? User defined error message. Now inside the except block, you write your own error message. What is that? Cannot divide number with what? 0. So after that, will it continue or terminate? Continue. If any statement is there, is it executed or not executed? Executed, right? So once you run this, now it's asking to enter first number. First number is 5. Second number is 2. So first number is 5 and second number is 2. And next is what here? 2.5. Okay, now suppose I try to enter the first number is 5 and second number is what? 0. First number is 5 and second number is 0. Then what is the error now? Cannot divide a number with 0. Getting on. So is it this error is handled or not handled? Handled. Okay. Yes. But this is handling only one error. But in projects, you come across different types of errors. So as a developer, you must handle all the types of errors. Okay. As a developer, you must handle all these types of which one? Errors. Right? Yeah, we'll see more on this. So how to work with this exception handling and what is that? Error handling. In detail, we'll see it, but not today, but we'll see it tomorrow, right? And tomorrow we'll have the class from 8 to 11 we'll have the class. I'll take one topic. Okay, na? Right? So tomorrow class is from 8 to 11. Okay. So we'll stop it here and tomorrow we'll see at 8 o'clock. Right? Thank you. Right. Only one day I'm taking, right? Ramakrishna. Is it I'm taking daily? Only one day now. Is it I'm taking daily or only one day? What year? Because syllabus has to be completed, right? Okay.